I came out strongly, I would say, I guess, on Harden's side, just backing his talent as the reason why you don't mind investing in such a player. But it would be unfair to not present the other side of things, which is a list: Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, John Wall. These are guys that Houston went out and got because Harden told them to, and Harden gets them on the team, and then Harden loses in the playoffs because he didn't have enough help, and he didn't have the crew he wanted, and his teammates didn't do what he wanted, and they didn't hit enough shots, and if you're going to hold him to the standard that I think he deserves to be held to because of how good he is, which is someone in the running to be the league's best player, to be considered the league's most talented player, that he's going to be held to that standard, then you have to pay attention to all of the losing and all of the failed relationships between himself and his star teammates. Can't ignore it. The flip side is that these star teammates keep coming in, and they're still willing to try it with Harden. And these guys come and they're excited to be in Houston, and okay, make a run at a championship. And people know he's talented. It's just, is he enough as an offensive engine to get you where you want to be as an organization? You're hoping with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, if both are present, that will be enough. To me, for the Nets in general, and this just may be my orange and blue veins forcing me to badmouth the crosstown rivals, but if it's 2021 and the best big man on your roster is DeAndre Jordan, we need to have a dialogue. A discussion needs to be had about this. You're not serious. You can't be serious. What they're gonna go? What's the plan? I thought Serge Ibaka was the plan.
That's the thing. That's something else we haven't even talked about. That's something we haven't even talked about is the Nets defensively. I mean, they're going to be such a liability, and you're adding James Harden. You're not adding a good defender. So I mean, come on,
And I'll say Harden's post defense. Harden's defense in the post is underrated. You just can't ignore his size in the post. Or on the court in general, but specifically in the post, can't ignore his size. And he's an underrated post defender. On the perimeter, though, they've got guys that look like me blowing by him out there. So I can't defend him there, and he can't defend me there, it seems. So you know how it goes. But man, what's the Jared Allen was the best big man on your roster, and now he's a Cleveland Cavalier. What's the plan when the game slows down and the floor shrinks in the NBA playoffs? Because unless you're trying to win every single game 140 to 138, I don't think you're making it past the Eastern Conference Finals. And if you do somehow just by will talent your way to an NBA Finals appearance, who on the Brooklyn Nets is checking Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
Who's doing it?
And to me, this entire move for the Nets, which felt very premature, seemed to me like a move made by a franchise who's inexperienced in being a contender. This team is not, like we talked about, has not been in true contention like this in more than a decade. So it's the kind of thing that worries you. So a couple more quick thoughts here before we go to break. Just thoughts on liabilities with the Nets, Sam and then Chris.
I mean, I think I just touched on the defense, and that's something that I think goes underrated a little bit right now. There's so much to do. There's so much to talk about. You got the chemistry, and then you have the defense. Another thing I want to touch on too is Steve Nash handling all this. He's already got to deal with Kyrie Irving going missing, and now he's got to deal with James Harden, who's certainly not an easy thing. I mean, Steve Nash, it's a first-year NBA coach here, so that's going to be certainly something to look at too. I think honestly, this team is the most exciting and fun to watch if they're all on the court. But even if they're not all on the court, it's still going to be entertaining because we have no idea where Kyrie Irving is, and we have no idea how James Harden will fit in this picture for the Brooklyn Nets.
I don't want to paint KD and Kyrie in any specific way, so I'm just going to present a scenario and allow you to interpret it how you will. Now, you mentioned that the Nets have a first-year head coach. I want to take you guys back to when you were in middle school. You hear that there's going to be a substitute teacher for one of your classes that day. You know they don't control the classroom. You know they don't have a grip on what's going on.
Yeah.
And for that reason, you, as a troublemaking child, are excited to have the aforementioned substitute teacher in control of your classroom that day because you are going to run wild and they are not going to do anything about it. And part of me wonders if Kevin and Kyrie had such memories in mind when they worked oh so closely with Josiah and Nets ownership to select their supervisor. That's all I got to say. And now they knocked next door and said, hey, we got some kids that sit in the back of our class. Our best friend is in your class. Can we trade? And now we have three of them in one class with a substitute teacher. And the line of defense is just, they're out of snacks to offer to keep the kids in check. And I think we are going to see at the very latest by the NBA playoffs, the effects of leaving three best friends in the fourth or fifth grade alone with the substitute teacher to wreak havoc in this hypothetical classroom.
That sounded like the kind of analogy that would have been perfect during the Nickelodeon football game this weekend. It was fabulous.